So now the form is done. What is next? Now let us say an employee after creation can go for an active state, and after some time or after some years the created employee can go to deactivated state. So these are state transitions involved in just employee master. So this state transition is nothing but a workflow states. So let's see how to do that in OrangeScape Studio, which is using process design. So you go to process design perspective to define the state transitions of the employee master. So if you go to process design perspective, you have by default two states, which is start and then end. For these states are called activity in the studio. So you might need to add activities between start and end according to the requirement. So now what we say the requirement is the employee master, as soon as created it goes to an active state, and from there it might go to deactivate, or it can go back to active state by changing something. So let's say after start, meaning after creation, it goes to active state. So by default, if you go to this traversing line, you will get these three options. You can select one of these. This is direct activity, this rectangular box, and this diamond one is a condition, and this is invoking an action. So now I have added the activity. So for an activity, there are two properties associated with it. One is the activity name, and the other one is who's the owner of the activity. So now let us say this is going to be a state called active. So I need to rename it as active. So I need to rename like this. Active. And the owner of this activity has to be mentioned here near this user symbol within double quotes. This can be a direct user or a role. So as we said, from active state it can either go to deactivate, or it can go back to active after changing some properties of the employee, like we can change the designation of the employee, or we can change the reporting to of an employee who is active. So when I change that and submit, it needs to go back to active rather than going to any other state. So there's a conditional branch getting evolved. So the second option I'm using, which is if condition. So I am saying in the user interface, if the user clicks on deactivate button, then you need to deactivate the employee, or if he submits it, you need to go back to active again. So there are two branches basically. So one of the branch is for deactivating. So I'm just renaming it as deactivate, and the other one is just I'm saying submit when the user submits. Why do I give a branch name same as the button name? Because the button decides which branch it needs to go. So the deciding parameter in the model is the button name, which is caption in the model, which captures the button clicked. So the caption decides which branch it needs to go. So for this branch, which is deactivate branch, there is a different activity which is called as deactivated. And this one, as I said, it needs to go back to active. So I'm saying go to active. So there's a go to option in the process design. Condition, it's just taking back to the active flow. That's it. So with this, again you need to assign, for any activity you define, there are two properties which is mandate. As I said, you're naming the activity and then assigning the user for the activity. So I've assigned. So the process is very simple. After creation it goes to active state, and from an active state, if any employee record is submitted, it goes back to active, or if deactivated, it goes to deactivated state. So that's all about creating a simple process flow for the employee master.